Well, hey everyone. My name is Lina, and this is the latest, the newest, the coolest episode of App Growth Talks, a series of interviews with user acquisition and mobile growth experts. And now we are starting an interview with another awesome mobile growth expert on mobile gaming and many things you will learn today. Welcome, Günay Aliyev, co-founder of Gamelight. Hi,
Hi,
Günay. Thank you so much for joining me.
hi, Lina. Great to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Awesome. Thank you, and happy Monday, by the way. So, I know that we have pretty much to discuss today. So, let me start right away.
Sure.
Could you please share your thoughts on the importance of user retention in conjunction with mobile user acquisition? And personally, how do you at Gamelight strike a balance between these two crucial aspects, I would say so? Please share.
Sure. So for UA managers, it is super important, right? Because what's the point of acquiring users if you are not going to retain them long term? I think what is missing sometimes by UA managers is that some people focus too much on lower bits, lower CPIs, or user count, right? Because that's what they have the most impact about. And then if they can't impact the retention of users in any way, if UA managers can't impact this, they might just drop it kind of, and they just look at what kind of users they get, what's the volumes, what is the bits, if they meet their main KPIs and so on, but not in the second part. And it might be difficult sometimes for UA managers because it depends a lot on product, right? Depends on the game, how it performs, what are features in the app to keep the users engaged and retained long term. But there are also ways that UA managers can impact this too. For example, first thing that comes to my mind is how, for example, it's quite common to use ads that wouldn't have, they would be kind of misleading ads, fake ads, right? Because the conversion is high and the CPIs are low, you get huge volumes. But if users are disappointed after downloading, the retention will be very low. And retention in comparison with other creatives where you actually show more gameplay is actually lower in this case. So this can be something that should get more attention by UA managers. Also, what can help with user retention for long term is also rewarded platforms. So for example, similar to Gamelight, there are also multiple other platforms that would have rewarded elements, because then after install, you can actually engage users long term and retain them in the app. So if UA managers need to focus more on user retention too, for example, going to rewarded platforms could be something they could try.
Thank you so much, Günay. And in a highly competitive environment, competitive market we are all part of, how does your company, Gamelight, differentiate yourself from other similar mobile marketing platforms that offer very similar, or they are not similar? It will just make it clear, user acquisition solutions for mobile game publishers. Please share.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there are a lot of mobile marketing companies in the market, and there are also quite some rewarded mobile marketing platforms. So it's not some rare finding. What is more rare with Gamelight is that we have an AI algorithm. We built it in-house, and what it does is it optimizes towards highest ROAS, ARPU, and retention for game publishers that advertise their games with Gamelight. So it's not simply about showing any ads to any users whomever pays highest, right? That's what happens in most other platforms. Whoever have highest bids, highest CPMs, they would get served first. Or if it's rewarded platforms, it's not just about here's rewards for some events and playtime, but it's the whole algorithm behind it that analyze first, even before install happens, if it's a good fit, when it should be showed, to whom it should be showed, which users should see which games, and so on, and also after the game too. So this the whole process is not anymore just bare bones of showing some games to some users and giving them rewards, but actually the algorithm that analyze and optimize the campaigns. That would be the biggest difference that we haven't seen in other networks that do it.
Well, thank you. And yeah, AI is the hottest, I think, one of the biggest topics today. So I'd say it's definitely a competitive advantage if you're working already with AI, and in the near future, this will become a must. And speaking of AI, could you please share some like specific, very interesting cases or success stories where customers utilizing Gamelight's AI algorithms, they this helped them to overperform their competitors to reach some outstanding results.
We have a lot of public case studies too. So if anyone wants, they can actually Google too. If Gamelight case study, they will find many. For example, the one that comes to mind is recently we had a case study for which we also won a platinum award by .com for best AI tool and best mobile marketing platform. So both of those. And what we did, we ran a campaign with a top grossing game publisher who wanted to promote their games with us, and they allocated 100K daily budget for us, so like 3 million monthly, and we had goals that we needed to reach, which were both like retention, engagement, and ROAS goals. And we utilize our AI algorithm, which matched the users from the get-go, for basically from the beginning, without huge learning periods, without 50K budget wasted or something. Basically from the get-go, we knew this user will be a good match. So they got very good results, and we over-delivered their long-term ROAS goals by 30-40% or so. We also got crazy high ARPU numbers than what they get usually. So they would usually get like $4-5 if I'm not wrong ARPUs, and with us they had 4.2, 4.3 times higher, so close to $20, which is very good for saturated games, right? Because if they have limited
Yeah.
audience, if it's like it's sort of famous, everyone already plays it, and very like little audience don't have it, they better get the users with the highest ARPU to increase company revenues in total too.
Yeah, sounds really impressive. Thank you, Günay, for sharing. And what could you share about data analytics in your platform? How do you work with that aspect? Could you
Yeah.
please give some details?
Without data, there would be no Gamelight. Let's put it this way, because the core of Gamelight is the data and how we analyze it and how we utilize the data. Maybe I can shortly explain actually what is the main core difference, how we handle data. Because with usual algorithms, if it's not AI algorithm, you have traditional rule based, right? You say if this is the case, if the user meets this and this requirements, or if creatives are this like this and that, and then you want the outcome to be there. This is not how it works with AI. With AI, you have data input. We have to have as much input as possible from users' playtime, user behavior, demographics, font details, manufacturer, and so on. There are a lot of data that we input into the algorithm. And then we have the desired outcome, which is maximize ROAS, maximize ARPU, and maximize retention for the advertisers. And then algorithm itself, within the algorithm, it will be decided what is the best user for each game, when this game should be recommended to users, and how it should be recommended. It also depends on how long the user has been with us. For example, if they've just downloaded yesterday a new game, we will probably not recommend them a new game, because we want them to stick to the previous one first, right? To try this out truly, to spend some time within this game. So there are a lot of elements that we use, and the core difference is that it's very difficult for human to analyze those things, right? If you do manual targeting, okay, you can do female 30. If you have Candy Crush game, for example, you assume that it's the average audience, that would be good. And that's the only thing you can analyze, more or less, maybe OS version. But with AI algorithms, you can analyze way more data, something that humans can't do. And that's how we handle the data. So much more in granular way, which is also more effective as a result.
Yep, AI could be a great helper. So, like in your case, sounds really interesting. And you mentioned that like you work in a way when you prefer users to play games for some time, and this is, I think, closely related to LTV and also retention. So, speaking of that, how do you at Gamelight approach user acquisition and reach really effective user engagement and retention techniques you could share with our audience?
Yeah. So first of all, Gamelight is also an app publisher. Maybe I can start from this. So we are a mobile marketing platform, right? But at the same time, we're an app developer and app publisher, because the whole traffic that we deliver to our partners are from our own self-published game recommendation platforms, which means we also develop and publish our own apps, and we also need to advertise them. So we firsthand know all the UI problems that game publishers are facing. We also work with similar platforms too that they work with to acquire our own users. And I think with Gamelight is more straightforward, because we have an algorithm and it's very easy to optimize campaigns. You basically need to spend 2 to 3 minutes to create your campaign, which is super easy, super fast. There's no crazy half an hour, 1 hour wasting time on setup or targeting and so on. So it's super straightforward, super easy. Within a few minutes, you launch the campaign. You can add your ROAS goals that you're expecting, and then campaign itself will be optimizing. So with Gamelight, its UA strategy is more like simpler than with someone else, because you need to have your goals basically. And UA managers can focus more on strategic topics. For example, if Christmas is coming, they can decide to do some special campaigns, special boosts for Christmas or Black Friday or Easter and so on. Now, how it is with other platforms, what we are facing as an app publisher, app developer, I think the main strategy for UA managers should be to test out as many platforms, as many strategies, as many credits as possible. Because what we see is sometimes game publisher approaches us and, for example, nothing worked for them, but only rewarded platforms work, for example. And if they would just stick to, before that, to Google and Facebook or rewarded video network, it might not have worked. So the game might even fail, because they tried so many platforms, they wasted so much budget and it didn't work. And all they needed was rewarded playtime or rewarded events. The same goes with creative. Sometimes UGC creatives work, sometimes it must be gameplay. And if they just stick to one thing, they might completely miss out the other one that might be much better than anything else they've tried. So the best strategy for UA would be try not to focus on one thing, split your budget, and then find whatever works, and then try to optimize that channel and that type of format.
Thanks, Günay. Makes sense. Don't put all eggs in one basket, they say. And it's all about continuous testing, trying new things. So sounds really reasonable to me. And speaking of games, as you shared that you are a publisher, mobile game publisher yourself, you know that there are a lot of genres. And I wanted to ask how, for example, approach or tactics or strategies differ for casual games that are really popular today, and, for example, hardcore games. And also, which metrics do you use to measure the success of those campaigns? Although you already mentioned some of the metrics, but could you please confirm that?
Yeah, so the core difference how we treat different game verticals is, maybe I can give a sneak peek of how the algorithm works for example, for different verticals. So we have access to usage playtime. What it means is that we can see each time when any of our users play any games. We get this access directly from users, so not from third parties, not from game publishers, but we can see basically any game that our users are playing, and the intention is that they want us to recommend them good games and get rewards. Now, what it means that we can always see if they, for example, in the last 24 hours, they played a lot of strategy games, like they spent several hours playing strategy games, and then within the last week, 80% they spent more on strategy games and 20% more on like casual maybe, and within the last month it was like this. So basically we analyze the whole playtime of usage, which games they're playing, how long they're playing, and when they're playing, and basically every combination of those, because sometimes users just playing strategy games might not be enough, or maybe they don't play strategy games as much, but they played some kind of games that, for example, they play casual games in combination with some different apps that they use, and we predict that those users would probably be interested in strategy games, then we will recommend those to them. And the same goes with different with other verticals too. If it's a casual vertical or word games or puzzle games or basically any vertical that you can think of, we analyze users based on what other games they play and which other users have similar app usage data. And then based on this user behavior, we recommend them new games. That's how basically it works for each game category. So whenever you launch a new game, there will be other games similar to this more or less, and then we can see which users would be the best fit.
Well, awesome. So you have really a lot of insights, analyzing so much data. Sounds really cool. And we talked much of AI today, and I mentioned that this is a pretty big topic today. Another big topic today for the next year, for the near future, is personalization. So my next question is how your platform can be used to provide some custom personal suggestions for players in the games. How does it work, and what are the key factors that are actually influence those recommendations? Could you please reveal this?
Sure. So at any time to our users, we don't recommend more than 3 to 4 games. And the point is that we want them to play those games. And first, we don't want to show them like 20 games at once because there's no personalization in this, right? It means that's not an actual recommendation, but we just show them whomever is paying us. What we do is we limit the number, but we make sure that it's always the games that they would definitely like based on how we predicted. It usually obviously works better because the users can get game recommendations based on the app usage data, and the game publishers get the users that would like their specific games. So for us, the whole process is very dynamic. It goes from recommendations to reward systems to basically the whole process that is very unique per user and very unique for game publishers. So no user will see, unless they have exactly the same app usage data and exactly the same demographics and phone. Basically, if everything is, all the data is the same, they will see the same, but there will not be case when 2 users will see the same game recommendations to them. It will always be different which games we recommend, when we recommend, and what they will see, because if humans are different, right, there's no chance that recommended games to them might be exactly the same. That's the possibility is very low. And since we analyze all of this data, we usually end up with very unique recommendations that users would like, which also helps with, first, it's good for users because they actually get to play the games that they enjoy. And second, it's good for game advertisers because there are very few installs when the users would just drop the game afterwards. Like we have huge, for example, tutorial pass or something, it's always like at like 96% or something, 98%. So it's like very high user engagement rates because it's a very, very good fit for the users.
So you have proved that it actually works. That's really cool. Also wanted to discuss another like contradictional but important aspect. As far as I understand, you utilize data of players, yeah, to provide personal recommendations via AI algorithms. But do you face any challenges when working with AI and utilizing data for that? Because I, I I believe that some ethical challenges could pop up, as you understand, because AI has many sides. It's really cool. We discussed how it's really helpful, and during our App Growth Week, many of our experts shared that without AI, personalization won't be possible soon, or mobile marketing. So everyone should be working in that direction. But some ethical changes still exist. So the question is, have you already faced them, and how you deal with them?
Yeah, that's a very good question. How it is, in general, I think there can be ethical issues, especially if users didn't give consent or consent was given in some like hidden in terms and conditions somewhere, then yeah, there could be ethical concerns. In our case, it's a bit different because we get the data directly from users, and it's not hidden way. It's very clear. They have to actively write that I give consent to Gamelight to use my data, and then we show exactly what we will use this data for. And second part comes that users get rewards with us, right? For playing those games, they can earn different vouchers and gift cards. So it is first, it's also in their interest why they're sharing this data, and it's also very consensual because it's not anymore, yeah, I will give my access just to use this app, but they're actively seeing every single day while they play that yes, they're sharing with us minutes that they use with certain games, and at the same time they're getting coins in their balance increased. So they actually actively give the access and actively see the results of it, that because I shared the data, I managed to earn now money and play the games that I like and get the good game recommendations. So They can always revert their consent, not to give it anymore, but because they're getting the benefits of it, it's there's no ethical problem, so to say. And we kind of believe also that, so in often like advertising revenues, they're shared basically with publishers, right? Like you show the ads, you earn, and you use the user data, and users are just seeing annoying ads. In our case, we share the revenues basically with our users. So we earn on one side from game advertisers. On the other hand, we actually share the rewards with users that they can also earn. So it's not anymore we utilize their data, but we together make use of their data so that everyone wins from this situation.
So this is a kind of a loop where everyone is interested and engaged, so everyone is happy with everything. Sounds just great, yeah.
The thing is that people, if someone is a gamer, right, they enjoy the games. So the ads should not be annoying for them. Because if it's annoying, it means you're doing something wrong. Because if they were playing some other games and using the apps and they are annoyed by your ad, it means either your recommendation is wrong, the ad itself, what is shown there is wrong, what timing is wrong, or you just didn't find the right thing to show them at the right time, because they are a potential user, because they are using apps, they are using games, they're playing them, but they're annoyed by your ad. It means you did something wrong. So if you can find the right ad to show to the right person at the right time, they are happy because now they can play some other games they will like, and you're happy because you get the loyal user, and we are happy because then we are the platform that makes them meet each other.
Yeah, thank you, Günay. Can't argue that, because ads can be annoying for sure, and that's really cool that you like do everything to avoid that and to provide some personalized recommendations. Günay, let's move on to last but not least question. You mentioned already, and we discussed that Gamelight is a game publisher. And I wanted to ask, as the gaming industry evolves in this highly competitive environment, how do you manage to balance between maintaining already popular, already loved by players game titles and introducing new games? How to maintain that balance? Could you please reveal some secrets? Because to me it looks pretty hard, and many I know there is a stats that like a big percentage of new games, they just drop, they get closed very soon after launch, they don't succeed. So how to maintain those titles that are already popular and cool, and at the same time bring in something new to the market?
Yeah. Also a very good question, and very tricky one, because there's no kind of straightforward answer, right? There's no white or black in here. It's a gray zone that you need to balance. How we do it with our game publishers, as you told, like you if you have games that work, it's good that users play them, but you also want to introduce always new games to them. And what we do is that we try not to spam users always with more recommendations, because then they might drop the older games, and that's not the goal, right? We want them to play longer and longer, for months and years. But at the same time, if we don't recommend them more games, then it's basically one game recommendation platform. That's not how it works out, because they always want to try something new too. So how we do is we always make sure to balance it, even though we would win more from introducing more games, right? Because if we show more games, they download more games, we make higher margin, but it's a short-term win, because basically it's they will download more games, but they will not stick around for all of them, because they can't play 10 games at the same time. So you should always make sure that there's always something new for them, because if you don't introduce a new game, someone else will introduce them a new game, so if a user is done playing the older one. So you should always make sure that there is something fresh coming up for them, something new, maybe with similar thing but with new aspects, but don't overdo it, because then you will have lower retention, lower engagement, lower numbers for all other games, because one person can't play that many games at the same time. They can maximum focus on like 2 to 3 games at once at best. So you shouldn't overdo this either. So finding a balance would be the most difficult and important thing here.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Günay. Thank you so much. Very interesting. You shared so many cool tips, insights, like on your in-house strategy and how your platform works. And also, I think we got really cool advice for like young game publishers. So thank you so much. I've had pleasure talking to you today.
It was great being here, Lina. Thank you so much. It was very interesting questions. Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Günay.